Hey little sister shotgun, it's a nice day to start again. It's a nice day for a white wedding day. It's a nice day to start again. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And there's plenty more music. Where that came from, sunshine. On concept soon. So, let's sort out the camera angle. Let's sort out the microphone. Because it's time to talk about what we always talk about here on the channel, and that is PC tech. It's a white wedding by Billy Idol because it's a white wedding of white PC parts. Bet you weren't expecting that clicking on this video, where you probably were based on the title, the thumbnail, and the theme of the channel. But enough gibbly-gabbly googling. What we're going to be doing is going through a beautiful build in this new ADATA Defender white case. We're going to have lots of lovely white components inside. We're going to see the performance in real games and real benchmarks. And we're going to see how we get on putting this together and whether I recommend these parts. Use it as a build guide. Do whatever you want. If you're in the UK, you can even buy it from us. But there we go. Enough gibble-gabble. Let's get on with the video. Alright, so with all that fracas over with, let's go through a quick parts list. So I'm going to try and speed this up compared to usual. I think I spent too long dwelling on the parts list. So let's go through it. Quick one-liner about everything, why we've chosen it. CPU, Ryzen 5 5600X, 6-core 12-thread processor, staple on the channel. The things that are great about it are very fast single-core speeds. This makes it excellent for you high refresh rate gamers, people that want to get over 200 FPS in your esports titles, ideal. It's also really easy to cool as well. Really good CPU all around, and the price is coming down, which is great. CPU cooler, we have the ID cooling Zoom Flow. So this is the white ARGB 240mm liquid cooler, which is absolutely plenty to keep this CPU in check. ID cooling, lesser known brand, but I think they're fantastic, and they're proactive with getting their Intel LGA 1700 kits in the box already. I know it doesn't apply to this build, but it's something good to know. Motherboard wise, we have the MSI B550-A Pro. This is like a staple on the channel. Really good performance for the money. I picked these up for £100, these motherboards, these MSI B550-A Pros. They've got a USB-C header if you need it. They've got nice RGB implementation, and because it's an MSI board, it pretty much always just chugs along and works. Good VRM quality as well. Memory, we have 16 gigs split over 2 lots of 8, DDR4 3600 speed, ADATA Spectrix. This is the RGB RAM. It's just a very clear sort of plasticky shroud on it with nice diffusion of the RGB. It's going to look really nice, marry up with all the other RGB in the system. Storage wise, we have 1TB of SSD storage, which is great for storing 10 plus games. It's a Samsung 970 EVO Plus. Now the reason I went for this one, it's got a nice DRAM buffer and it really does top out those Gen 3 speeds. There's no point getting a Gen 4 drive at the moment, they're just too expensive and you're not really going to see much benefit unless you're a power user. The video card we have is the Gigabyte Vision OC RTX 3070 Ti, 8GB. Lovely card. These Vision cards look absolutely gorgeous. We saw one in the last video on the Lagoon PC build. Absolutely gorgeous white design, looks really classy and performs really well also. The case, we have the ADATA Defender, and that's what we're focusing on today, is just having a quick tour of this new case that I've found. It comes with RGB fans, it's nice white design. This could be a real winner, and it could be one that takes a bit of the business away from Corsair in this kind of style of case. The power supply we have, though, is Corsair, and this is a 750 watt Corsair CXF. This is the white version, it's 80 plus bronze rated. The good thing about these is that they come with white cables on them, so you know, if you wanted to cheap out and not have the sleeved braided cables, you don't actually need them because this comes with the white cables. We have obviously Windows 10 as well. Our Wi-Fi controller is the AX200, so this is just a U-bit version, but they've all got the same Intel chip inside. Also comes with Bluetooth as well. Having that AX200 gets you the Wi-Fi 6 standard, which means that if you've got a nice beefy home network setup, it can actually be just as fast as Ethernet. One thing that always completes any PC build, and it's always worth the extra £30 to £40, is a nice set of cable extensions to really give it that professional combed modded look, and that's why we've got these Shack Mods cables here in white. The good thing about these is I get these custom made so that I can have the two PCIe graphics connectors together in the same comb, which does look really nice and neat. So with the parts list done, let's move into a build and take a look around the case. So let's do a quick tour of the case first. We'll pop that up on the screen, we'll have a quick look around, see what's going on with this case, we'll chuck a build together, and then we'll get on with our testing. Okay, so we've got it up on the bench here, and we're just going to be taking it apart just to see what's going on. Now, the 2 thumb screws on the side of the glass panel here, you just need to release these in order to pull back that glass panel, and it just comes easily off. Same goes for the cable management side panel as well. These easy, just 2 screws on the back, you take them off, slide it out, easy peasy. Now that we've got that cable management panel off, we can see what's going on here. So I can already see there's loads of room for cable management here. I think this is going to be a really nice build. We've got a couple of slots there for 2.5-inch SSDs as well. We've also got a couple of 3.5-inch drive slots at the bottom there as well. We've got all the cables that we need here. The case comes with 3 RGB fans and 2 RGB strips. There's loads of little RGB cables, but they come with daisy chains, which means if you've got other RGB stuff to add into the case, no problem at all, you just hook it up. All the other stuff is standard connectors like USB 3, front panel audio, those kind of things. So now looking at the front of the front case panel does pop off. It just needs a little bit of a wiggle, and then the front panel will just pull off. And you can see I dropped it on the floor like a complete klutz, but it's fine. So that reveals the front mesh of the front panel. We've also got a dust filtration mesh as well. And you can see our 3 RGB fans are installed like so, 2 at the front, 1 at the back, which if you're going to stick with the stock configuration is a really sensible way to go. We've got a little cable grommet here in the center to allow your GPU cables. Take this out because it looks really ugly. Just take it out and feed your cables through. It looks much nicer. And much less fiddly as well. So it looks like there's also plenty of room for an ATX motherboard inside this case. Micro ATX and ITX will also fit, but you know, if you're going to go for an ATX case, you want to go for ATX or Micro ATX to save some money. The PSU shroud has a decent amount of room, but I wouldn't be putting any of these massive HX style platinum power supplies in there unless you want to remove the drive cage at the bottom. Taking a look at what front panel connectors we got, I like this. We just got 2 standard USB 3s. We've got a power button, an LED switching button if you don't hook it up to your motherboard, and a combined audio jack. We've got mesh filtration on the top with room for a 240 or 280mm liquid cooler. And that's going to be most of the case going on here. So my first impressions of this case is this could be a real winner. So it costs approximately £65 in the UK. It comes with 3 RGB fans, ARGB fans with separate 3-pin DC connectors. You've got a mesh front, so you've got room for 240 or 280mm liquid cooler in the top. This looks like a really good case to be working with, so I'm looking forward to putting everything together here. Some of my concerns to start with is I would like it if they just charged an extra £5 and had 4 fans, so you had 3 at the front and 1 at the back, or put all 3 at the front. I understand with 2 at the front, 1 at the back, if you're using it in the stock configuration, it makes more sense. But when I put these together, I want 3 RGB fans in the front to make it look proper. So that would be my concern. The other thing is they haven't routed the cables through as well, which is, you know, fine. It's not a big deal, but I would like it if they routed the fan cables through as well. But otherwise, not much to complain about in this case whatsoever. So let's get on with the build, and then we'll see the performance. finished product, and it does look good. It looks really nice. White cases are often, you always find there's some kind of compromise in them, and I think this is as close as you're going to get for this price point. £65 for this kind of feature set, and what you get with it is good. I think the white theme has come off really nicely. To improve it, you might want to go for a different motherboard. Something like a Gigabyte B550 Vision D would look really good in here because of the white accents, or maybe something like an Asus Strix. They have the silver versions. That would look really nice in here and give it that more fleshed out white feel. One of the things that I don't particularly like about this case is I wish the RGB fans they included had a white shroud on them, because having the black fans and a white case does take away some of that purity of the white look, which would be beneficial in this case, but it's a minor point. I think everything's come together really nicely. The custom cabling looks awesome as always, and all the RGB ties together really nicely in MSI Center, so it makes it really easy to keep control of all your RGB. But we've taken a look at the looks, so we know what kind of looks you can see. I'm going to get on with some performance testing next. One thing I forgot to mention is, I think if I was to own this case, those grommets, those black grommets on the side, I would just take those out, because I think it would look better without those big black grommets on there, so I would take those out. But anyway, on with performance now. So we're mixing things up. We're going with temperatures first, then gaming results. So we use Prime 95 for the CPU, and we use OCCT for the GPU, or the video card. We run them at the same time, so we get the maximum heat generation, which also stresses out the power supply a little bit, which is good for stability testing. With our Prime 95, we measure the maximum CPU temperature that we see, also our own not very scientific term, the equilibrium temperature, because with Prime 95 you get these spikes, but they only last about half a second, then they come back down to a normal sort of range of temperatures. So the equilibrium temperature is sort of the highest, but ignoring those half-second spikes, if that makes sense. For the video card, we measure the maximum temperature. So CPU, our maximum CPU temperature was 68 degrees Celsius over 30 minutes, and then our equilibrium temperature was 61 degrees. This is ice cold, baby. This is absolutely fine. This is going to allow the chip to overclock itself, boost itself up to its maximum, because it doesn't start slowing down until it hits about 80 degrees at least. So you'll be having happy days with this. The video card temperature test, this is obviously the gaming scenario and 100% usage. You're going to, over 30 minutes, we only got up to 66 degrees, and that's really good. And it's just a testament to how good these Vision cards are. They're really good at cooling the video card, the GPU even. So, temperature test done. Let's move on to some gaming tests. Start with a couple of standard type benchmarks. So, Heaven benchmarks, a classic DX11 benchmark. Our FPS average was 228.4 with a score of 5754. This is excellent. Actually, it's really close to the RTX 3080. I didn't actually realize how small the gap is between a 3070 Ti and a 3080, so I was very impressed with this. Shadow of the Tomb Raider next, using the built-in benchmark at the highest preset. Our average FPS was 175. Again, pretty nice. It's pretty close to that RTX 3080 level, so if you feel like you're getting that FOMO of not getting a 3080, the 3070 Ti is not too far behind. I think this would be really good for something like 1440p gaming. Maybe when you get into 4K and wanting to get those higher refresh, you need to go for the 3080s and 3090s, but so far this is looking fantastic. But how about some real life esports gaming? So with our esports titles, we've got Fortnite and Apex Legends. Start with Fortnite. These tend to be run to get the maximum FPS possible, to get the best competitive advantage. Even with these expensive systems, people still do play the easier to run titles like Apex Legends and Fortnite, so it's not silly to test these high-end systems on these games. So in Fortnite, we're getting around 400 FPS most of the time, and the key indicator is our 1% lows are around 240 as well. So that means if you've got a really high refresh rate monitor, you're going to be having happy days indeed on this machine, because it's going to be maxing out your monitor's refresh rate. So if you're a super competitive player, it's a really good combination, this. So in Apex Legends, we're playing on mainly high settings, but not the really high settings, and we're playing with maximum FOV as well. And this is another turn up for the books. Absolutely brilliant performance, over 240 FPS average, with our 1% being around 175. This means that in those clutch gameplay moments, you're going to have plenty of headroom on your FPS so that you're not going to fall behind. At the high level, FPS can mean the difference between life and death. Latency is important, and having higher FPS can reduce your latency. So really good for esports gaming, but equally, as we've seen with the other benchmarks, really good for some AAA games as well. So it really is a PC that can do pretty much whatever you want. And because of the NVENC encoder, you could easily stream your gameplay with perhaps a 10% loss to your performance. That's really, really good. So I think whoever does pick up this system in the end is going to be a very happy chappy or chapette. But with that said, let's leave you with some lovely shots of the PC, some nice stills as we like to leave you with. And I want to wish you all a merry day, a merry freaking day. And I want to see you in the next video. I want to see you subscribe, I want to see you like. I want to know what you think about the musical intros. It's a new thing I'm trying, just to try and spice it up. So thanks very much for watching, and especially if you're here at the end, I love you very much. Oh, goodbye now.